Trump administration made a show of force at the U.S.-Mexico border in Eagle Pass, Texas, with Vice President JD Vance, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and other immigration officials visiting the once overwhelmed Del Rio sector. Blaze Media was able to cover the delegation's visit as part of the pool of reporters who were brought along for the trip. The high-profile visit was to highlight how successful the Trump administration has been at getting the southern border under control. The 4-year-long border crisis effectively ended after President Trump reversed the open border policies of the Biden-Harris administration, who created the crisis after they ended border policies from Trump's first term. Illegal border crossings are now down 95%, bringing much relief to border communities. Vance, Hegseth, and Gabbard were given an aerial tour of the Del Rio sector, being shown where new border wall panels were being installed and the terrain Border Patrol agents operate in. Vance, Hegseth, and Gabbard then participated in a roundtable with Governor Greg Abbott and top state and local officials to hear what is working and what needs to be improved on. Vance praised the work Texas did when Biden was in office, spending state money and sending the National Guard in an effort to deter illegal crossings.
We took the helicopter ride over here and we saw a big chunk of border wall. And I said, is that the federal government's border wall? And they said, well, it was ordered during the first Trump administration, but Joe Biden wouldn't let us actually build it. Governor Abbott, of course, was the one who actually helped us put a lot of that stuff up. And of course, that stopped the flow in a pretty profound way. We'll talk a little bit more at the press conference, but as you saw, the president said yesterday, I think it's maybe the most important part of his speech, is that we didn't need new laws to secure the border. We needed a new president, and thank God we have that. I've heard already from a number of the folks that I've talked to in Border Patrol that all we needed to do was empower these guys to do their job. Thank God they have done their job. We're thrilled that they've done it, and now we've seen, I think just in this area, border crossings go from about 1,500 a day to 30 a day. That's simply the President of the United States empowering these professionals to do what they do so well.
Blaze Media was able to ask Vance what he thinks is the biggest obstacle to carrying out Trump's promised mass deportations now that the border is secured.
So let me say a few things about that. So first of all, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we have seen pretty significant increases in deportations and apprehensions and arrests. But we have to remember that President Biden gutted the entire immigration enforcement regime of this country. We are trying to rebuild so that we actually empower people to enforce the immigration laws of the American people. It is common sense. It's what the American people want us to do. There are a couple of other things that we're working on. I don't want to get ahead of any public announcements, but one of the ways that we want to make sure that we're enforcing our border is that we make it easier for people who are here illegally to go back home of their own accord. We don't want to have to go around and arrest every person, but we will enforce the American people's immigration laws. If you're here illegally, the message from our administration is you should go back home, and if you want to come to the United States, apply through the proper channels. That's an important thing that we're doing. The final thing is this costs money. One of the most important parts of the president's reconciliation priorities is, of course, tax reform on the one hand, and on the other hand, making sure that we get proper resources so that we can pay for the flights, and we can pay for the detention centers, and we can pay for all the components necessary to ensure that we're re-migrating illegal immigrants back to their country of origin. I guarantee it is a part of the president's priorities. We'll keep on working on it. We've made a lot of progress, but we're going to keep on working on it over the remainder of the president's term.
What was once a major problem for the country appears to be over, but the lasting effects of the border crisis now lie within the rest of the country. For Blaze Media, I'm Julio Rosas.